Number 1. Ivan Mishukov, a man who was raised by dogs as a child, has spoken of how the street strays saved his life. Ivan Mishukov, now 27, was rescued by officials when he was 5 after having lived on the streets for 2 years. According to him, the animals were his only family. Each morning, the boy went to the local bakery with his dogs to beg for food in Rutov, a town near Moscow. His case became known around the world, and now Ivan, also known as Vanya, has spoken of the debt he owes to the strays. While usually trying to avoid talking about this grim period of his life, he admitted, "I understand that if it wasn't for those dogs, I wouldn't have survived in the street." He now earns his own living with a factory job. "I am also grateful to policemen who took me from the pack, and of course to my foster mom who raised me," Ivan added. Number 2. Natasha. This is the first picture of a 5-year-old Mowgli girl raised by dogs after her parents neglected her. Natasha Mikhailova was kept locked in a room with dogs and cats for several years, causing her to behave like an animal. She does not speak, laps up her food and drink with her tongue, and walks on all fours. Though living in filthy conditions in the same home as her father Viktor Lashkin, 27, and grandparents in the Siberian city of Chita, child experts say she was treated as a family pet. Number 3. Ramchandra. The story begins in either 1957 or 1958 when a woman named Sani was returning to her home in the village of Barakdava in Uttar Pradesh. She claimed that a huge dark figure loomed up in front of her, threw her to the ground and raped her. The result was a son, Ramchandra, who was born the following year. When 1 year old in 1958 or 1959, Ramchandra fell into the fast-flowing and crocodile-infested River Quano, which passes by the village, and was swept away. There is a local legend that a Brahmin, a holy man, had once dug a well near the river and had drowned when he climbed into it to bless it. Sani claimed the figure who raped her was the spirit of the Brahmin, and he had come back to claim his son to go live with him in the river. Many villagers, needless to say, dismissed Sani's fantastical story, and the village gossip was that she had thrown the boy into the river due to the shame of bearing a child to another man than her husband, where he had either drowned or been devoured by the crocodiles. So it was the belief for many years. Then in 1973, a local priest was walking by the river when he saw a human-like creature apparently walking on the water. He drew nearer and saw what he claimed was a human boy, but with dark green-black skin. He observed the creature dive into the water, catch a fish and eat it raw, before lying back and being carried downstream. Having told everyone, a villager claimed some days later to have seen the same creature. Thereafter, a great many people congregated by the river for some days to catch a glimpse, but nothing more was seen and interest soon waned. Number 4. Marina Chapman. Marina Chapman says she isn't as mobile as she once was. It's not so easy to climb trees these days, let alone swing from them. Well, she is about 60 or 62 years old, maybe older. She's not sure. Chapman is tiny, sinewy, bendy. At times, she doesn't look quite human, a bit simian, a bit feline, and quite beautiful. Perhaps it's not surprising that Marina Chapman seems different from the rest of us. In her formative years, she says she grew up with monkeys. Only monkeys. For around 5 years. Again, she's unsure. There is no reliable means of measuring. She says she lived deep in the Colombian jungle with no human company. She remembers learning to fend for herself, eating berries and roots, nabbing bananas dropped by the monkeys, sleeping in holes in trees, and walking on all fours. Number 5. Sasha T. A 2-year-old boy raised mainly by goats has been taken into care by social workers in Russia. The malnourished wild child named Sasha T was kept in a room with the animals by his mother Marina, 40, in Rostov region, and has not learned how to speak, eat, or use a potty. He played and slept together with goats, which lived in the same room, said Life.ru news website. Raised by goats, starving 2-year-old Russian boy who was forced to sleep and play with animals is rescued by social services. Boy weighs a third less than a typical child of his age. When we came in, Sasha's mother was absent, said Irina Botkova, deputy head of social work in the town of Shakti. He was sitting in the ice-cold room, undressed. Every hour could have become his last. It was incredibly cold, dirty, and smelly in that house. We just grabbed him and rushed him to the city hospital. Number 6. Amala and Kamala. Probably the best-known story of feral children is that of two girls, Amala and Kamala, who were raised by a she-wolf. In 1920, as the story goes, Reverend J.A.L. Singh saw a mother wolf and cubs, two of whom had long, matted hair and looked human. After considerable preparations and difficulties, the two human creatures were captured. They turned out to be two girls whose ages were assessed by Singh at about 8 years and 1.5 years. The creatures were taken to an orphanage in Midnapore, India, where the Reverend and his wife were stationed. Singh described them as wolfish in appearance and behavior. They walked on all fours and had calluses on their knees and palms from doing so. They were fond of raw meat and stole it when the occasion offered. They licked all liquids with their tongues and ate their food in a crouched position. Their tongues permanently hung out of their thick, red lips, and they panted just like wolves. They never slept after midnight and prowled and howled at night. Number 7. Cat Boy. Argentinian police discovered an abandoned 1-year-old boy surrounded by 8 wild cats in 2008. The cats reportedly kept the boy alive during the freezing winter nights by laying on top of him and even tried to lick the crusted mud from his skin. The boy was also seen eating scraps of food likely foraged by his protective brood. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.